Please welcome to the stage from the pitch, Yiuwin Tsang.
Hi everyone, I'm Yiuwin. I'm the small business publisher at Sift Media, otherwise known as a guy whose name is really hard to spell. So I'm here to talk to you about The Pitch, which is a small business competition that we've been running for a little while, and we're working with Kriya and some other great sponsors on delivering it this year. Bit of background about The Pitch. The Pitch is a competition that's run by the company I work for called Sift Media. We are digital publishers by trade. We've been kicking around since about 1996. Our CEO is our founder, a chap called Ben Heald. He's a former accountant. He's quite a nice guy, considering he's a former accountant. Used to work for KPMG. He set up a business called The Prudent Surfer way back when. And that was basically an email chain that he sent around to his contact of accountants and professional advisors. He monetized that by selling advertising and sponsorship to companies and organizations that wanted to engage a network of accountants and advisors. And that grew into our flagship site, which is Accounting Web. He then replicated that model across different verticals. So we've got a title in HR, in training, in customer relationship management. There's the accounting titles, both in the UK and in the US as well, with our Boston office. And UK Business Forum's Business Zone are the small business titles that my team looks after. And The Pitch is the offline extension, I guess you could say, for the online stuff that we do through the sites. So The Pitch started back in 2008, I think it was. And like any good startup story, it's a bit of a rocky ride that we've been on over the last few years. Around about 2010, we went through a bit of an existential crisis. It was really, really hard work trying to run this event. We were just trying to get people to enter. We were investing a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of energy, and weren't really getting it back. As my wife often says, you know, it was a big commitment, mentally, physically, and emotionally, and we just weren't getting the return back on it. So we decided to think about how we can make it better, what we could do differently, and we turned it into a more powerful program of learning for entrepreneurs. We wanted to give them something back, and we wanted to give them advice, guidance, information that they could take away and use in their businesses straight away. So we did that, and it really galvanized the team internally. All of a sudden, this event that was really hard work to do became loads and loads of fun. Everybody really enjoyed doing it because it felt like we were doing something good. It felt like we were giving something back to the entrepreneurial community. And we tried to summarize what we did in one sentence, our why, for the Simon Sinek fans out there. And our why is that we believe that if we are able to educate entrepreneurs, give them the advice and the guidance that they need, and we empower them to use it in a real situation, then we will play our little part in helping them to succeed. So that's what The Pitch is about. Part of the process of learning is we have these amazing boot camps, and I'll say amazing, mainly because this lady, here's a lady called Annette Kramer. Some of you might have come across her before. Really high energy, high intensity American lady. Probably a bit much to deal with really early in the morning, but she is amazing if you ever come across her. So she's our pitching doctor, and she talks about not just what to include in your pitch, but also how to deliver it as well. She's got a background in Broadway and training thespians. So she adds a huge amount of value to the day. And there's also some great content from our partners who talk about marketing, digital marketing, finance, technology, all the things that you need to run a successful business. Part of the bootcamp will also record a video as well. And this is Van Girls. I don't know if you guys saw Dragon's Den at the weekend. This is Emma, who is pitching at our bootcamp. Emma was on the Dragon's Den at the weekend. She didn't raise any money in the end. But again, I'm going to bring up my wife again. We were watching the TV. She watched all the pitches, and she said, do you know what, out of all the pitches that were on that show, she would have given her money to Emma and Van Girls. She thought it was the best pitch that was there. So there's a little bit of pride inside when I thought, oh, maybe we played our own little part in helping her get to where she's going. So it's good to see her on the TV and doing well for herself. The event culminates in a one-day extravaganza, which is down in Bristol, which is where we're based, down at the Paintworks, which is a great venue. And it's not just about the pitching, but we have some great content taking place as well. So this panel down here are some really successful entrepreneurs. This chap at the end there, a chap called Mark Pearson, he's got a bit of a history with us. He used to be a member of the forum way back when. I was just saying to the guys, his first post in the forum was, hey guys, I've got this idea, what do you think? Since then, he's gone on to exit his business last year, My Voucher Goods, for £55 million. And he was on the panel last year. He's on our judging panel for this year as well. And he runs a company called Fuel Ventures now, which is an investment firm. But it is all about the pitching. I always incredible pitch that we saw. Denise, who runs the NOAA project, went on this journey with us. She was a pitcher at the Manchester boot camp, and she was shaking like a leaf when she did her initial pitch that we recorded on video. She then made it through the finals, and she pitched on stage here, and she probably shook just as much. But I always bring this slide up because it's a bit of a paradox in that the pitch is the least competitive pitching competition that I've seen working in the industry, in that this tweet by a company called Weibo, a language learning app, a chap called Dean Jacobs tweeted this. He was in the same heat as Denise. He was pitching to win the same competition as Denise, and he's there saying how powerful and how heartfelt her pitch was at the final. There's some people that were in the room at the final there, and there was not a dry eye in the whole of the room. Denise's business is fantastic. It's a business, a social enterprise, which looks after vulnerable women that have come out of abusive relationships. And she started this story about how there's this lady who was on the floor, she had broken ribs, and she had to pick herself up, pack a bag, and get out of this house. And then she found the help that she needed. She got back on her feet, and it turned out that woman was her. And there was not a dry eye in the whole of the room. I turned around to my MD, and he was kind of clearing this eye out, got something in my eye. Looking behind him, there was one of our key sponsors absolutely bawling her eyes out. But the key thing about this slide, as I say, it's all about the community. It's all about bringing these entrepreneurs together and the support that they're able to offer each other. And that's one of the most inspiring things about this event, and the opportunity that we get to work with some of these guys. There's a prize involved when you win the pitch. And I have to emphasize there is a prize involved, because at the final last year, one of the guys who made it through to the final 5, he came up to me just before they had to go back up again to pitch again. And he said, Yiuwin, I heard that there's a prize, that you win something when you go through this competition. I said, yes, you do. There's lots of great stuff that we managed to get a hold of. We had to do some weird things to get a hold of those prizes for you, so I'm a bit gutted that you didn't know that there was. But the thing that the guys took out of this whole process was not really the prizes. It was more around the recognition that they got, be it through local press, through PR, through other titles. It was also through the advice that they got through the boot camps on our website when they were meeting each other. Big thing was the community. It was the fact that they met other entrepreneurs. They got to communicate with other people that were going through the same journey that they were going through. They faced the same kind of pressures. They faced the same sort of tribulations, I suppose. And it sounds a little bit cheesy, but I do think that certainly last year and in the year before, there were some friendships that were forged that were, they continue to endure today, which is a wonderful thing to see. It's really, really inspiring. And we get to work with some really cool partners. Some of them have been with us for a little while, for a few years. Constant contact over there. And Krier, first year that we got to work with these guys, and it's been brilliant fun. Tom and I actually go back a little bit further, actually. Tom and I first met when he was living a previous life working for Haibu, Yell, one of those. Yeah, whatever they're called today. And it's been fantastic. It's been a fantastic journey working with Krier because they are on it. We work with them through producing that content, through delivering that advice. And it's mainly Tom and Hannah that we get to work with on producing some of the content that we distribute through our channels and through our website. They produce some great stuff, really articulating their expertise in and around driving digital engagement and getting the most out of the website. But I think the thing that stands out for me when we get to work with Krier, first of all, my account manager, Chloe, loves working with Krier because they are just on it, hit their deadlines most of the time, and they're great fun to work with. But the other thing is just how agile they are as an organization. So, one of the key things about being a small business is that, you can be quick, you can move on things really quickly, you can take advantage of stuff. And Krier are able to do that as well. So we planned out this huge content plan and mapped out what articles we wanted and when we needed them by and the synopses that we needed and stuff. And the third article that came along Hannah or Tom called us up and said, I want to change it. And I was like, okay, this article that's going out in 12 hours, you want to change it? Okay, what do you want to do? And they did growth hacking, which was all around how small businesses can apply a methodology, a way of thinking, get the most out of what they do by measuring stuff and being really brutal about the decisions that they make to make sure they're delivering value. And they did it. They turned it around super quick, got it approved super quick, and it absolutely flew. So Crea have been great fun to work with, both in terms of the content that they produce, but also with the content that they put into their website, or the content that they give us around getting the most out of your website. We produce a toolkit, and we do 3 editions of it every year. So the first one's already out, you can get it off our website, and Crea put a piece together around how to make sure your website meets your business goals. So it's kind of that whole strategic outlook, not just talking about the what you do or the how you do it, but thinking really closely about, you know, why you need your website, or why your website needs to, what your website needs to do in order to achieve its goals. At the boot camps, we will also be running one-to-one sessions, and where Crea will be demoing, or will be running their digital health check tool as well. So I'm really quite excited about this, considering, you know, it's just fresh out into the market as well. We were trying to work out what we're going to call these sessions at the boot camps. One-to-one advice at the boot camps, I think, kind of works. We were playing with the idea of calling them express clinics as well, which I find a little bit weird. I'm a dad of 2, and when I got home, when Alex was there, my wife was there, breastfeeding the kids, they say, what have you been up to? I've been expressing. So when the guys came to me and said, express clinics, I was a bit like, oh, it's a bit odd. But anyway, we'll go with it. So they're going to be doing these one-to-one advice clinics for each of the entrepreneurs, so they can run through the digital health check thing, see what their websites are doing. I don't want to talk too much about it because Tom's obviously done a great job about it, but I think the thing that stands out for me about the website check is that good feedback is wonderful. You know, your website looks really pretty, it does these things, that's great. But the things that are really useful that you can take away and action straight away are the critical points. So it's the bits where these need to improve in order to get more out of it. And that's where I think the real value will come out of using the digital health check at the boot camps. I've kind of rattled through my slides here. I'm quite conscious of the fact that I'm going quite quickly. So I'll try and slow things down a little bit. We've got last year's winner with us today, Rebecca, from a company called Propertico. And this is Rebecca with Judith, who was from AVG, last year's headline sponsor, one of the judges, Judge Judy, who worked really well. Now then, Rebecca won because she had a really solid pitch right the way through the process. It was a really good pitch. I did actually have her video from her boot camp on here, but unfortunately we can't put it on. Can't work out why. It's fine. Believe it or not, actually, Rebecca, I don't know if you can remember, but you actually overran the 90 seconds that you had and you got cut off. So I had to do some trick editing to try and hide that away. But she got through the whole thing. And the thing about Rebecca's business, about Propertico, is that it's a great business, really solid, really healthy numbers, really solid pitch, really articulate. And I remember being stood at the final with my MD, a chap called Tom Dunkley, and we were watching all these fantastic businesses pitch. And we were talking about how the ones that really stick in your mind are the ones that have a really good or really solid, really positive purpose. You know, it's that, going back to that whole Simon Sinek piece, that whole why piece. And the ones that really kind of got you are the ones where you kind of think, oh, that's bringing real good to the world. I kind of really get that. And to be honest, with Rebecca's initial pitch, I thought, I don't quite get that connection. But then, the grand final, there were 5 other businesses that I get up and talk again. So Rebecca got up and talked. Other people got up and talked, and they kind of redid their same pitch again. Some people talked about why the pitch would make a big difference to them if they won it. And Rebecca got up and talked about how she went over to the US. She had met the Radon Survivors group, and she met people who either lost loved ones to radon. Radon is the 2nd biggest cause of lung cancer, I believe. People who survived radon treatment. And that she felt that that's why, that was her motivation to do, setting up this business to try and reduce and make a big difference to reducing the mortality rate of radon in the UK. And then that was it. That was a minute. I just thought, I get it. Yeah, that's it. And she went on to win, which is absolutely fantastic. Here she is at the boot camp, recording her video, wearing her lucky pitching suit, I think. And that's it. So that's kind of the pitch. As I say, I've rattled through those slides quite quickly. I often think I'm probably the luckiest publisher to work at Sift Media, because I get to work with small businesses and entrepreneurs, people like you guys, work with the cool crowd, as it were. And my other publishers have to work with accountants and HR managers and HR directors. So it's great fun. You lot are really inspirational, a little bit too much so sometimes, in that every year we work with all these different partners, and every year at least one of our contacts, these people that we go out and we meet and we wine and dine and look after, at least one of them will say, do you know what, I'm so inspired by this lot, I'm going to jack in what I'm doing, I'm going to start my own business. And then we're like, oh great, okay, so I've got to start all over again with somebody else. But that's it. Thank you very much.
Over 1,100 deaths a year occur in the UK as a consequence of radon-induced lung cancer. It's a worldwide problem, and the World Health Organization has done a considerable study in 2009 on various parts of the world, and the consensus is absolutely the same in different countries, that radon kills from lung cancer. Radon is a naturally occurring radioactive gas that is a breakdown product of uranium deep in the Earth's core. It migrates to the surface and can collect in buildings. It is the leading cause of lung cancer among non-smokers, second cause of lung cancer behind smoking.
Traditionally, people, when they think of radon, if they know anything about it, they think of Cornwall and they think of Devon and they think of areas where there's a lot of granite or limestone. In our experience, we find radon all over the country, even in areas that are supposedly lower risk. We've carried out testing for clients and we've found high levels up and down the country.
The business primarily specialises in testing and mitigating radon levels in buildings. If after the results are analysed, there's found to be a problem, that levels are unacceptably high, then we will visit and come and design a mitigation system which is appropriate for the individual house. Setting up a business in the recession was interesting. We kept overheads to a minimum, but were conscious that there are certain things that you cannot cut out, but you can outsource. One of the key things was the website.
We've had a long-standing relationship with Gary Morgan and his team at Creare. We actually knew him from a previous business and we carried on our relationship with him when we started Property Co. Having a great website and being easily found on the internet has definitely helped our business to grow, particularly over the last couple of years when we have been ranking on page 1 of Google for most of our search terms. We have a really good relationship with our advisors at Creare. On the SEO side of things, we get monthly reports saying how the campaign's going. And we also have regular contact throughout the month on new content that's going to be written, ideas that the campaign manager's had, things that he wants to do. Every time we need to make an update to our website, either it's something that I can update through our content management system, or if it's something more detailed that needs doing to do with the actual design or build of the site, then the team handle our inquiries promptly, come back to us with proposed design changes, and we have a really good approval mechanism before anything's actually put live on the website. Creare have exceeded all of our expectations. Now we're almost 4 years into our campaign and working with Creare, and wouldn't hesitate to recommend them to anyone else.
In the past, when people heard the word radon, they thought no more about it. Now they can put it straight in the search engine and find out what it is and see that it's something that they ought to be addressing. And that's why we consider that our website and internet presence is so important, because it's the oxygen of our existence.